Good morning, and welcome back to the LAMDA log. This is week 6, day 1, the final week of skills classes for my entire master's program. Wow, that's wild. It is the 8th of June, 2026. We had a warm up in John Wood, and then we jumped straight into accents. We wrote up some lexical drills to practice with our chosen accent. Mine was Dublin. And so I was struggling with the mouth sound, the found. And what we discussed in class a little bit when we presented these was it's not a oi, oi. It's not like an O to an I sound, oi, or an E sound, oi. It's ew. So I found a round mound south out of town that sounds foul in my mouth. Found, fe, ah. Sorry, not oi. That's not what I was thinking. Found. It's not found. It's not like an A sound. It's an E sound. Eh. Found. I found a round mound south out of town that sounds foul in my mouth. And then the lot verb was Tom asked John for a lot of boxes of socks. And then the strut. But the mutt wants to run above the rut with his mother and brother. Oh, was it great? And then we walked around practicing the drills, and then we shared them. Careful of setting in like a facial position. Like if I have to do this to say dueling accent, then it's problematic. You need to be able to do it relaxed. Yeah, I did the mouth, and my lips were getting a little more involved than my tongue. Mouth. It was in my lips, so mouth. Round. Sound. Then we got 4 objects and we placed them in like this area. The first one was a green ball, so that's the E sound. Then it's probably like, it'd be here. Green ball. Then a hoodie, but we're doing the oo. So E, oo, aw, aw. Like that was a palm, aw, palm leaf. And then a bag, ah. And so if you look here, this is, I gotta be able to see it. So you can see those are kind of like placements in your mouth. So the E and oo are at the top, E, oo, and then ah and ah are down. So it's like dropping the jaw, and then going forward is E, ah. Ew, ew. It's pulling it back. Ew, ew. My lips get really involved, but yeah. Ah, ah, ah. You can feel my tongue drop in the back. So, the vowel articulators are the lips, the tongues, and the jaw. That's it. The lips, the tongue, and the jaw. So this really helps remove a pronunciation bias, and you can just like walk the chart really trying to figure out these sounds. So this is what we did. There's a period of rummaging as you're finding vowels, and that's good. This is a crucial period that will help make the proper manipulations and adjustments in your mouth. Someone said a great idea. They said it's like a fourth toe, which is connected to like all the others. You can't really like individualize your fourth toe. Then we had a 5-minute break, and then we located our own vowels in our mouth in this trapezius, this trapezoid. And then what are we going to take with us from this job, from this class? We talked about that, and what we're going to really stick with. And then we did a listening and repeating. Oh, listening and repeating will never be enough. That was what I'm going to take. You really need to be specific and concise with things. And then improvising in an accent is a great way to solidify patterns and identify problems. and then go between drilling and playing, and drilling and playing. And don't overreach for a sound, right? Everything should be effortless. It should be natural. And then I started mapping out my own sounds. And then I walked it more than wrote it down. And then for homework, we're going to send a couple of clips of the sentences in the accents that we were working on. And then a bad accent is on the way to a good accent. And every human is a social animal, and we are code switchers. And an accent is just that, right? It's something that's naturally innate to us. So we just have to like give ourselves permission to try and fail, and then use that information from failure to improve. Then we had lunch. Then we had clown. I'm going to stick a little picture of my clown right here, so that way you can see my beautiful clown picture. I performed today, but we'll get to that. So this is clown with Heriberto, and first the rules, right? You step out, you knock, you enter, you maintain eye contact and connection with the audience, you breathe, you be present, you listen for the audience, and you find the game. So let the internal come out and be completely open. The first person went, and it was interesting. It was kind of brutal from Heriberto. He really focused on breathing and be acting. He said no acting. Amplify that. Make it bigger. Make it bigger. He kept asking him, "What's your name?" The full name at birth, which he. The ice cream man is here, which he didn't want to answer, and he was saying how he wants honesty from him and that he's a terrible person. And he's pushing him, and to stop editing yourself. He, you're like in a sticky situation now, and that's a great place to be. Who are you? He told him to do an angel and a devil on his shoulder and to speak for them. And you are afraid of being yourself. You be yourself and be generous. Face your fears. Then he started having him do push-ups and sit-ups. And yeah, he didn't get to do a lot of like clown. It was just kind of like a public abuse. Abuse is strong, but it was just calling him out. And then afterwards, he said, "We all have flaws. Bring them out in clown. We're all idiots. Be an idiot." Right? Then the next person went. And it's hard to write notes about this, but she had this great clown costume where it looked like a toddler who dressed herself going to Disneyland. And then she had a helmet and then pulled her hair through the helmet. It was so good. But she like blew a kiss to someone. He's like, "Oh, what was that? Was that a kiss? Are you a kisser?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then she was blowing kisses. And then she like did a jump. He's like, "Oh, are you a jumper?" And then, "Oh, you're the fastest jumper in the world. Can you break your own record?" It was so funny. And then he's like, "Oh, I feel a song coming on," because she started like breaking her own records. And then you're an assassin of the tempo. And then I became tempo, and she was assassinating me, but trying to be super subtle and very, what was his word? I don't think I wrote it down. I don't remember. But then she became Cupid and was making love matches, but she had nobody for herself, so she matched herself, and then gave a love poem song. And then we needed a bombastic ending, so this grand finale, and she built up to it. And at first, he was like, "You ran out of steam. That wasn't good. Let's do it again." And then kind of the note about that is it's not about what we do, it's about the way we do it. And then I went and I came out, and in my clown costume, which you just saw the picture of, I had these little teeny short swim trunks that show off a lot of my legs. And so I had this like leg rhythm thing going on. And so I was doing that. I was playing with like the sound of my legs and trying to get people involved. And then I did air guitar, and then I was doing all of this band stuff. Um, and then that turned into like football where because what happened is he asked me where I was from after I did that little bit. And I said, I'm from lots of places, but I was born in New York. He's like, oh yeah, what part? I was like, Upper West Side, but like I moved before I turned 2. He's like, yeah, but like where do you go home? I was like, I don't know, I live in Harlesden, London right now. But like my family's in Pleasant Grove, Utah, so I would live there. um and then I was like, yeah, it's gonna be by BYU, Cougars. I was like, well, I'm not a huge BYU fan, but hey, Ohio State, I'm a big fan of that. And it's like, what is that? It's like football. And then I explained football and kind of like showed him what football was. And then he said I was multicultural. And so I did poems in Spanish and then Mandarin and then Italian and then Danish and then French. Um, and in Spanish, I couldn't think of any poem. I was just like, the land, the sky, the sea. And then in Mandarin, I was like, I know one phrase, 你好,我很好,你呢?再见,我不知道. Ba. These are all the things I know. And 谢谢. Those are all the things. So I like made that up. And then I added some just nonsensical Mandarin sounding things. And I don't speak Italian, Danish, French, or Mandarin. But so I made I just made it up and it was fun. And then the last person went and he did he danced and then made it more avant-garde and then talk back and then he became a pistol shrimp, which has evolved to like basically have a biological gun because its claw is so big that it can like break the sound barrier. But yeah, and then he was doing classic movie quotes as a pistol shrimp. Then we had our 30-minute break, which didn't end up being that because we went a little over. Then we had our French scenes and we just worked on our scene and we showed it to Marianne. And then it still needs some work, but we're getting there. We're performing it in a week. Yay! And then we had, and then I was working on a thesis. And I was able to do a run through and time it. It was only about 10 minutes. So we'll see how that works because it needs to be at least 18. And then afterwards, I worked on my own thesis a little bit. And that was Monday. It's great. I feel like these videos are getting shorter. But hopefully that's good information. Love you guys. Have a great day. Bye.